Hey guys, this is our algebra review of the study guide. So I have all the study guide answers up here. So we're going to go through them. We'll kind of go at a decently quick pace. So if you don't understand, the best thing to do is rewatch. And then if you still don't understand after you rewatch it maybe once or twice, come and see me. You can skip around to the problems that you need to see, so you don't have to watch the whole video. If you want to just skim through and make sure you got the right answers, that's great. So use the resource as you want. Alright, here's questions 1 through 4. Question number 1, solving x. We're going to add the 4. We're adding the 4 because we have inverse operations, so this is going to cancel out. Or if we do one side, I have to do the other, so we get 14. Can't forget that this x is negative, so we're going to divide by -1, leaves us with x minus 14. Okay. Number 2, we see multiplication, so we do the inverse operation division. So we divide, and x equals 3. Next one is a little bit more of a process. We have an equal sign, so I like to pretend like we're breaking it right down the middle here. And 2 is going to get multiplied into this right here. And so we end up with 2x. This is going to be 2 times a -3, which is -6 plus 8. Notice the boxes are combining like terms on each side. So we get -6 plus 8 is 2x plus 2 here. Over here, we can combine on the right-hand side of our equation the 4x and a -x, which gives us 3x plus 5. Okay. From here, we decide to move one of the x's over. Now, it doesn't really matter which way we do it. I'm giving you an example here. Normally, I would say let's move the 2x over, but here's another option. We move the 3x over. Notice 3x minus 3x, that's going to cancel out. Over here, 2 minus 3 is a -x. Then we subtract 2 because +2 minus 2, that cancels. And 5 minus 2 is 3. Then last step, we divide by -1 to get x minus 3. On number 4, we have to distribute a negative in, not the 5, but a negative. And then on the right side, we have to distribute a 2 in. Okay, so right down the middle, again, we're doing two sides of our equation. We get 2x plus 12 over here, and this becomes a -x, and this 4 turns into a positive. The 5 and the 4, we circle, and we can combine them to get 9. Over here we get 2x plus 12. We can go ahead and subtract the -2x. -2 minus 1 is a -3x plus 9. And then we're only left with 12 over here. By getting x alone, we're going to first subtract 9 using SADMEP. And the reason why we're doing that, these two are going to cancel out for sure. That goes to 0. And 12 minus 9 is 3. And then we divide by a -3 to get us x equals -1. Number 5, we went over this one in class, but what we want to do is we want to turn basically everything into a fraction, and then we're going to multiply the 8 through. 8 divided by 2, 8 divided by 4, 8 divided by 8, and then 8 times 1 is 8. We can reduce 8 over 2 into 4, 8 over 4 into 2, 8 over 8 into 1, and then we already had 8. Now we have two different sides of our equation. We're going to subtract 1x over to give me 3x plus 2 equals 8. Subtract the 2, reason because we have inverse operations, so that's gone. Then we get 3x equals 6. Eventually we get x equals 2 once we divide by 3. Okay. Over here we broke this one into 2 steps. Instead of multiplying by the reciprocal, we're going to first multiply by 4 to cancel those out. Multiply this side by 4, which gives us -60. Then we're going to divide by 3, those will cancel. And 3 goes into 6 twice, so 3 goes into 60 20 times. Negative and a positive, we leave it as a negative. Number 7, we're dealing with some decimals here. First thing we can do is we can move the x's to the same side. So a lot of times in this one, I'm kind of putting all the x's on the left-hand side for you guys. So subtract those, so that x is now gone, because 7 minus 7 is 0. We end up with a -3.5x plus 24.3 equals 10.3. Subtract, and we get -14. And 3.5 into 14. We can use our division. We move the decimal over once on each. How many times does 35 go into 140? We can test, and it will actually go in 4 different times evenly. And there's our answer. Again, all these questions are going to be identical to the ones you see on your test. Alright, a doozy amount. Here we're doing a two-step inequality. First step, we're going to subtract 3. Those cancel. We get negative 28. Divide by negative 2. And notice my sign goes from greater than or equal to less than or equal to. And pick a point. Let's pick 12. Is 12 less than 14? Yes, so we graph in that direction. Number 9, we got to get the absolute value part alone. Then we can do our case 1 and our case 2. Okay? But first step, case 1 and case 2, there we go. So first we got to get rid of anything adding or subtracting, so we subtract 3, and then we divide by negative 2, and we get x minus 2, the absolute value, equals 9. We break it into 2 parts. Basically, inside of here, we could put 9 or negative 9. That's why we have our 2 cases. Okay? And so let's go ahead and take care of that. And we get 2 adding to 9 gives me 11. 2 adding to negative 9 gives me negative 7. So those are my 2 answers right there. Okay. Now these 2 got switched by accident. I accidentally got them written down incorrectly. So number 11 is here, and number 10 is over here. So let's go ahead and do those right now. This one we're actually solving for number 11. If you read it, it does state solve for x. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually just divide by 8. Divide by 8 on both sides. We don't want to distribute the 8, so we're just going to divide by 8. Okay. Once we divide by 8, we get x plus w. We can drop the parentheses and just subtract w. And we end up with h divided by 8 minus w. This is called a literal equation, meaning we have multiple variables, so we're going to have variables and our answer for x. Number 10, so we did 11 before 10, that's okay. Number 10 here, we again, kind of like this problem up here, number 9, we want to go ahead and take care of getting the absolute value by itself, this box here. Okay. To start with that, we subtract 10 from both sides. That gives us negative 3. Now the reason why we have no solution here is because an absolute value can never be set equal to a negative. Since it is, there is no solution, which kind of saves us a lot of work. Next. Alright, did 11. 12, another little equation. So number 12, if we read number 12, it states, use the formula d equals rt, which we wrote here, to find the distance using d, rate, and time. So we're solving for time here, because it says solve for time. So right now, all we have to do is to get time alone, we have to get rid of the r. So we just divide by r, and we're done. Number 13 is a kind of simple one. We just got to divide by negative 6 to both sides, but when I do divide by a negative, my inequality is going to flip. Okay? So our negative 30 divided by negative 6 becomes a positive 5. We flip it. And then I rewrote the equation here because essentially x is still less than 5. I can read these through the exact same way, but it makes it easier to graph. So let's pick a point 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes, we're graphing in the right direction. Alright, now for a compound inequality. We know this is going to be an AND inequality because it's overlapping. We have all written in one. If it had OR, then we know it's an OR one. To do this, we can break it into 2 different pieces, or we could do it all at once. So this one, we wrote it in 2 different pieces so you can see both clearly. So subtract 20 from each side. So notice we just rewrote this part of the equation and then this part of the equation in 2 separate pieces. Subtract by 20, we get negative 10 over here and 10 over here. Then divide by 5 and we get x is less than or equal to negative 2, and then x is greater than or equal to negative 2. And we know it's going to be an in-between because the ands are always in between. So we graph negative 2 and 2, and then we just fill in the middle. Almost done. Kind of. Alright. 15, 16, 17, here we go. This is an OR question. Again, we solve them as 2 separate problems. Subtract 3.7 and subtract 7 over here and divide by 2. So we end up with our 2 answers here. And ORs are always going to go out from each other. And so we just graph our 2 pieces. Open circle for this one and closed circle for this one. Okay? Sorry, it's a little messy. We'll go ahead and erase this so you can see it. Okay? Number 16, again, practicing more with absolute value equations. before I can do the two steps where I'm going to get down here to case 1 and case 2, I got to get the absolute value alone. So we're going to divide by -3, which gives us 9. This is possible. Absolute values can equal a positive number. So we get 2x minus 5 equals 9. And remember, case 2, we do the exact same thing except we set equal to -9. Solve our two-step equations. This is kind of, you can see it right here, so I'm not going to spend the time. If you need to pause and watch, you can. Number 17, the basic one-step equation, subtract 75, and then it goes ahead and asks you for number 17. I'll read it for you guys real quick. Number 17 says, Jack currently can lift 75 pounds, so this is why we have the 75 pounds right here. He wants to be able to lift at least, so the word at least, okay, is greater than or equal to, because you'd be happy if you can lift more than 150. And then write and solve an inequality to determine how many more pounds he needs to be able to lift to reach his goal, and use W. So W is how many more pounds he needs to reach his goal. So we subtract 75. So if he can lift greater or equal to 75, then he's happy. So that's kind of our go-to right there. Okay, so keyword was at least. All right, 18, another problem where we have some word problems. This whole problem takes up number 18. It says, Frank is deciding between 2 gyms. So he's got 2 gyms, Pump It Up and Fit For You. Pump It Up charges $80 for an enrollment, while we have $10 per month. Per usually means we're going to be using a variable. And Fit For You charges only, $30 a month. No charge for an enrollment, so just $30 per month, so that's a variable. So we want to set up our equation. We know that y is going to equal 10x plus 80. So that means if x is going to be the amount of months, and y is the total amount of money. So 10 per month plus the initial $80 enrollment fee, and then over here we have no enrollment fee, so there's nothing to add on. It's just $30 a month. Now we set them equal to each other because we want to know, the question asks for how many months will they charge less, okay? So we'll have to charge less. So we figure out how many months they are equal, and then we can do which one's less. If we want, instead of doing an equal sign, if I want to see how many months will Fit For You charge less than Pump It Up, we can put an inequality sign in there. Anyways, we move the variables to the same side, so we subtract 10x from both sides. That leaves us 20x, divide by 20, we get x equals 4. So our answer is Fit For You will charge less than Pump It Up for the first 3 months. Okay, so 30, 30, 30, and then after that, Pump It Up will become cheaper because it's only $10 per month versus 30. And after the 3 months, we'll have already paid off the enrollment fee. So they're equal at 4 months, so the first 3 months it'd be better to go with Fit For You. Last page, here we are. Good to be here. 19, if we read, write the compound inequality shown by the graph. So you have your graph on your picture. That should be our answer. We have an open circle here and closed circle. That's why we have our differences in those. And x is greater and x is less than for each. 20, solving this inequality. We see a less than sign, so when we see less than sign, we should be thinking less than, okay? So this becomes an and question. Break it up into 2 pieces, and we can just write the word and between them if we want. Notice the sign is going to flip, and it's going to become a -4. So there's the big difference when we do our case 1, case 2 for these guys. Or if we want, we could have just wrote, if you didn't like this method, we could have also just done -4 less than x minus 2, whoops, which is less than 4. So if you just want to write it straight off like an inequality, it would be the same thing as doing our 2 different cases and then writing and at the end. So same thing, whatever one you kind of prefer. Number 21, we get to a great or question. So this is going to be one where we have to split it up. So this is a great or question. But before we split it up, we got to add the 4 over. That cancels out. We get 15. Now we can go into case 1 and case 2. Notice whenever we have absolute value, we have 2 cases. Okay. The first one, notice the inequality and the numbers stay the same. On the next one, the inequality flips and it becomes a negative. Then we basically do our 2 steps, subtract 3, divide by 2, and we are left with our OR statement. Okay? Number 21, one last one. We have to do 2 steps before we can get our inequality alone. Once we get our inequality alone, we immediately see that we get negative 8. Okay? Absolute values cannot be less than a negative number. We know that to be true. Since this is equal to a negative 8, that's never going to be possible, so we know this is no solution. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Kind of long. Hopefully you went through it. Watch it again and again. Go over it again. Our test is coming up this week on Block Day. Ciao.